ready for one last ride?
Reactors, I just got back from seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so you know what we must do. We got to reel in this review.
Pete, I'm done running.
My first thoughts, this movie is amazing, man. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed everything about this movie. This is the third film, and James Gunn puts a bow on it. Wraps it up real nicely for not only this cast, but to us, the fans. Diving into this movie here, obviously no spoilers. I would have to say the plot is very simple compared to the first film and the second film. With Peter Quill still reeling from the loss of Gamora, he must rally his team around him to defend the universe along with protecting one of their own. A mission that, if not completed successfully, could quite possibly lead to the end of the Guardians as we know them. So that's the plot, just protecting one of their own. That is what this movie is about, and man, James Gunn does something really special with this movie. Like I said, I enjoyed this film, and I'm pretty sure Marvel fans, Guardians fans, casual fans are going to enjoy this movie. Starting off with this cast, we got Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. This is his best performance. I enjoyed him. Out of seeing him in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and the holiday special, this man kills it as Star-Lord. Then we got Drax, played by Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista kills it as Drax. This man is hilarious throughout this movie. I mean, yeah, the comedy in this film can be a little bit over the top. I'll get to that later on in this review. But Dave Bautista alone as Drax carried a bunch of scenes when it comes to being comedic. But not only that, when he's not doing the comedy, this man knows how to hit the emotional moments throughout this film. Dave Bautista owns it as Drax. Now, looking into the future, the actor has said that he is done playing Drax, that this is his final performance. And I can see why, because he wants to branch off. But the first Guardians film is what took him to where he is now as a great actor. But yeah, this is possibly his final performance as Drax, and if so, then man, he went out on a high note as that character, and I will surely miss him playing the wonderful comedic Drax. Next, we got Zoe Saldana as Gamora. Gamora is great in here, but as you guys know, this is not the Gamora that we see in Guardians 1, Guardians 2, all the other films. This is a new Gamora thanks to what happens in Avengers Endgame. And I like what James Gunn does with Gamora's story in this. Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, is still, reeling over the fact that he doesn't have his Gamora. But now this Gamora is here after the results of Endgame, and he has to deal with that. And you could tell throughout this movie, this man is constantly thinking about her. Even in dire situations, he's constantly thinking about this Gamora. And this Gamora isn't the one that us fans know, is not what he knows. And she is pretty much a dick in this film. I mean, she is an asshole to Star-Lord, to this whole cast. And it's something you gotta get used to when you're watching this film. But Zoe Saldana, she's already came out and said that this is her final performance as Gamora. She wants to move on. And I like how they wrap up her story in this film. So, Zoe Saldana, hats off to you. I enjoyed you as two versions of Gamora. Next, we got Groot, played by Vin Diesel. Now, as the voice of Groot, he's great. There's so much that a voice actor can do to bring a certain character to life. And Vin Diesel does that. I mean, the man only says 3 words. I am Groot. That is it. If it's not I am Groot, it's what he said in the first film, we are Groot. There's only a few words that he can say. And with those few words, there's just a range that Vin Diesel's able to bring to the character that brings it to life. So, I enjoyed Groot in this film. Pretty much, I'm enjoying everybody at this moment. Then we got Nebula, played by Gillen. She's great in this. I love where her character is now, being a sister to Gamora. You can tell throughout this film they are sisters. Not only that, I love how Nebula is with the team now. And the way she works with him, the way she has banter with him, the way she brings, the comedy to the scenes. Karen Gillen is Nebula, and she owns that role. There is one thing she does say in this film that almost brought me to tears. Almost brought me to tears. Oh, it was such a powerful quote by Nebula. One of the best quotes in this film. But yeah, Nebula is great. Karen Gillen, amazing. Then we have Palm as Mantis. Mantis is great, but what Palm does well with Mantis is working with Dave Bautista as Drax. Those two. It's like a brother and sister duo, but we already know that Mantis is the sister to Peter Quill thanks to the holiday special. But I love all the scenes with Mantis and Drax. And you get that throughout this film where you get the team together, but not only the team, you get groups. They tend to split up here and there, but that is okay because it works in this film. You'll either get Mantis and Drax working together, you'll either get Nebula working with Mantis, or Nebula and Star-Lord. Everybody works well together in this film, but the standout performance, the duo performance, is Mantis and Drax, and Palm is perfect as Mantis, and I love how they wrap up her story. But our main highlight, our main character of this film is Rocket. Bradley Cooper, this is his movie, and James Gunn wanted this movie to center around Rocket, and he nails it. Every scene with Rocket is emotional. Every scene, man. Every scene. Now, I'll get to the emotional parts a little bit, but Bradley Cooper, the way he's able to bring so much life to this character. I mean, you would think, how much can he do with Rocket? And he does everything and more in this third film. Just seeing his journey from how he started, a little baby raccoon, to where he is now, it's phenomenal. The backstory is brutal. It's excruciating. It's haunting. I couldn't believe some of the things that Marvel got away with in this film. It's really dark at times. The animal cruelty is super high in this film. So if you are a little nauseous or you don't like seeing animals get hurt, this might be a movie that you might have to skip or watch, certain scenes with your eyes closed, because there are a lot of things that happen in the dark in this movie. And just to see what Rocket goes through, to see what his friends go through, it's bad. But James Gunn tells a perfect story with Rocket and these Guardians throughout. A few more characters would be Kraglin, played by James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn. He's great. We got Cosmo. She's great. Cosmo the dog is a goat for what she's able to do in this movie. You heard it here first. I've seen a lot of people reviews and they don't really talk that much about Cosmo, but I will. I gotta give the flowers to Cosmo, because Cosmo, in a certain scene, pulls it off, and I love it. Lastly, we have Adam Warlock. A lot of people don't like Adam Warlock from the reviews I've seen so far. Some people say it's not who they thought Adam Warlock would be. And I gotta say, I don't think they're wrong, and I also don't think they're right. For me, Adam Warlock isn't in this film as much. He's off and on. He's here and there. He shows up, he disappears, he comes back, and it happens quite a lot. I understand why. There's just so much going on in this film. There's so many characters introduced. There's so many backstories going on. There's just a lot that James Gunn has to tell with these characters, and in the writing, you can tell that Adam Warlock starts to disappear here and there. But I don't think Adam Warlock, Will Poulter, deserves the hate for what happens with his character. I think Will Poulter works as Adam Warlock. He's a good actor. I just think the direction that they choose to take with Adam Warlock might not be the best here, but we shall see down the road with Adam Warlock and see where Marvel decides to take with him. But for me, I enjoyed Adam Warlock for what he was. Will Poulter did a fine job. Now we have the villain of the story, the High Evolutionary. I hate this man. He is the Joffrey of Game of Thrones. I mean, he is a good villain. A good villain, but with a horrible motive. The High Evolutionary thinks he's a god in this film. He thinks he can control people. Not only that, he's trying to shape the world in his image. And he's putting himself on a pedestal. And the way he talks to people in this film, he talks down on them. The way he talks to Rocket and his friends, it was just pissing me off. There were times where I just wanted to punch the guy. And that's just good acting. Chukwudi Iwuji, hopefully I said your name right. He's the guy that plays the High Evolutionary. Kills it. Kills it. You know you're putting on a performance when the audience can collectively say that they hate your character. Hopefully people understand that when it comes to the actor, he is playing a role. And that the hate that we as an audience have for the High Evolutionary should be directed to the High Evolutionary, not the actor playing the High Evolutionary. Hopefully people understand that, because I'm comparing him to Joffrey, because everybody hates Joffrey in Game of Thrones. But a lot of people, when watching Game of Thrones, decided to take all that hate and place it on the actor. And we can't do that. But the High Evolutionary is a good villain. He's probably the worst villain. When I say worst villain, I mean with his motive and what he does. He's up there. He's up there. There's nothing positive about this villain at all. He's downright bad. He's the worst of the worst. So Chukwudi Iwuji nails it as the High Evolutionary. I freaking hate that character, man. So the cast is all great. James Gunn nails it with wrapping up this entire story, this entire cast perfectly for me. The comedy works in here, and I love how James Gunn is able to balance the emotional beats of this film, and not only that, the comedic timing of this film, the way he's able to mix it in with the action, just everything else. The comedy works. I enjoy the comedy here just like I enjoyed it in Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, but I think it's really good here. There are some very, very funny scenes. Very over-the-top funny scenes, but over-the-top funny scenes that I did enjoy. The action is really good in here. And I don't know if you've heard it, but there is a scene in a corridor. Oh my God. It was like a one take. I was like, how did he film this? And it was going on for quite a while, and I enjoyed every second of it. The corridor fight scene is phenomenal. They show bits and pieces of it in the trailers and the TV spots, but nothing compares to watching the full scene. My jaw was on the floor. The corridor fight scene is something that will be talked about forever, and it will be compared with other fight scenes in the MCU because it's just that great. The corridor fight scene. Be prepared because it's phenomenal. The VFX, the CGI is at its best here. Not only that, the music slaps. But you already knew that going into this Guardians of the Galaxy film. James Gunn does not miss when it comes to the music, and the music slaps. The music is telling a story, and I love it. And I love this man's music taste. Now, obviously, this movie is not perfect. There are some minor criticisms that I have with it, such as the runtime. This movie clocks in at 2 hours and 30 minutes. And with that 2 hours and 30 minutes going into this film, I was like, this works. But after watching this film, there are scenes that drag on too long. I feel like every scene in this film needs to be in this film. I just feel like some scenes drag on a little bit too long. Not only that, when it comes to Rocket and his backstory, this isn't a spoiler. I wish they focused a little bit more on how he, meets with Groot, or get that backstory. I know James Gunn wanted to make a Rocket and Groot spin-off film, probably dropping it on Disney Plus, and I think that would work too. But once I heard that that was not happening, I thought that story would be added in to this movie, and it's not. So that is something I really wanted to see, is how Groot meets up with Rocket, or how Rocket meets up with Groot, and how they become, the best of friends. But we don't get that in this film, but we do get the entire backstory of Rocket and how he came to be, in which I do love. But yeah, I only have small criticisms here and there. Other than that, this film is phenomenal, man. This is an emotional film. Did I cry? Yes. I cried towards the end, and I think it was due to the music that was playing in the scene. But I managed to make it through the whole movie without shedding a tear until the very end. Just the way this man James Gunn decides to wrap up this group of characters that we have grown to love. Not only that, the music over the scene. I mean, the last 15 minutes of this film were bringing tears to my eyes. Not because I was sad, but because I was happy. I enjoy these characters. I'm going to miss these characters. I'm going to miss James Gunn directing these characters. I can possibly see them making another Guardians of the Galaxy film, but I'm not sure if they should, because this is a perfect ending. I would love to see these Guardians show up in later movies, but some of the cast members don't want to come back, and they feel like this is the definitive end to their characters. And I understand that, and I support that. But a little bit of me is still sad about the situation on how James Gunn is gone from Marvel and he's moving on to DC. As a DC fan, I am a Marvel fan, but as a DC fan, this is a major win for DC. He's leading DC, but not only that, he's going to be directing Superman Legacy, and I'm pretty sure plenty of other films for them. So that is a major win, and I feel like Marvel is going to heavily miss James Gunn. And I'm going to miss James Gunn, and plenty of other people are going to miss his direction for the Guardians of the Galaxy. But the ending that he gives us is phenomenal. It's perfect. It's enough to make grown men cry, and that's exactly what happened to me. You will shed a tear throughout this movie, but for me, it happened to the very end, and I was able to make it throughout this movie without shedding a tear until that very end. Just the music just hit me, and I was smiling with tears in my eyes. I couldn't help it. Now, I didn't cry as much in this film as I did with Wakanda Forever. With Wakanda Forever, I cried at the beginning, in the middle, and the end. Throughout that film, I was shedding multiple tears for multiple scenes. But for this movie, it was one scene, and that scene was this ending to the Guardians of the Galaxy. But yeah, it's an emotional film. It's the final film. James Gunn does a phenomenal job. And we gotta give this man his flowers, because he's been here for over a decade and he's brought nothing but happiness to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There are multiple post-credit scenes, so as you guys know, this is a Marvel film. You should not be leaving your seat. Stay the whole way through the credits. It's worth it. It's worth it. There are plenty of after-credit scenes, post-credit scenes, credit scenes, however you want to call it. It's worth the while. Stay. It's the final Guardians of the Galaxy film, so you know what it is. Stay the whole way through. Now, for this movie, I'm going to give this rating a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Out of 10, it'd be a 9. It's a near-perfect film, but I have to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. If you were ranking the films, I'm going to have Guardians of the Galaxy 1. It still hits for me. It's still that perfect Guardians of the Galaxy film. And then this third film, and then the second film for me. But I enjoyed it here. I had a blast. I will be seeing this again. Matter of fact, right after this movie, I decided to buy tickets for me and my family, and I'm going to go see it Saturday once again for the second time. But yeah, I'm going to put myself in that dire situation. I'm going to have to experience those emotional beats all throughout this movie. Just the pain that Rocket goes through and this cast has to go through. I'm going to put myself in that same situation all over again. Why? Because I enjoyed the film. And although it's very emotional, by the end of it, I found happiness. And a lot of people will find happiness with this film. You should reel in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You should not wait for this movie. You should go see it in theaters. Don't wait for it on DVD. Don't wait for it on Blu-ray or when it hits Disney+. This is the final film, man. Go see this in theaters. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Make sure you guys comment down below what your guys' thoughts on this film. What did it make you feel? How many times did you cry? Did you even cry? Let me know in the comments down below. I can't wait to see what's next for these characters. I'm eager to find out what Marvel plans to do with some of these characters. But overall, James Gunn, phenomenal job. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is my favorite movie of not only Phase 5, but one of the best movies in the entire MCU. There you guys have it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That concludes this review. I'll catch you guys in the next movie review or the next reaction or movie reaction that hits Reel It In Reactions. I'm Reel It In Miles. I'll catch you guys next time.